Text your friend and you missed the scene.
No, I had to be really bad.
Thank you all so much for being here. I can't believe you made it. Through this moment. Okay, so I'm sure you have a lot of questions about the movie. And I have good news and bad news. The good news is that the writer and director, Ari Aster, is here to answer your questions. David Fielder, who's moderating. Bad news is they both did a lot of acid. And I don't think they're going to be answering any questions. I know it's fucked up to laugh at somebody's misfortune, but it's just the reality of the situation. So hopefully it'll be interesting. I think he's never done a trip before, but maybe it'll be funny. I'm sure that's all you guys had in mind. You're gonna do it, but it's just the way it is. I'm sorry. Thanks so much for being here. So here's these guys that are tripping.
It's the best use of $20 I've ever had.
Oh, thank you.
That's awesome. All right. Wow.
Oh my God, Nathan. It's Nathan.
Hey guys, come on. I obviously have a lot of fans here, but it's not about me tonight. Tonight we're here for the movie BEAU is Afraid. And how about that? You guys got to see the real BEAU in person just now. That was quite a treat. Well, we actually just did one of these Q&As in another theater. So I kind of asked all the things I was interested about in that Q&A, and I don't have anything left, but I did just watching the ending though again. I watched the movie a few nights ago, and the final thing there with the boat. What happens with the boat? Sort of like eats him up or something, like.
Just it's. I like to think of it as like an ejaculation. The boat isn't ejaculation. It just, but it just flips so fast that it creates a wave that should look a little bit like an ejaculation. But he's dead.
He's dead. Oh, so that's a bit of a reveal there. You don't know for sure, I guess, and now you.
Well, you see it wriggling from.
Oh, yeah.
And you should sort of hear like the death rattle underneath the water.
I was actually thinking about it in the shower today, and I was like, oh, the ending is maybe sort of like, because it starts with him in the womb, and he sort of ends up in a womb. I wasn't thinking that, but like I was thinking like a film nerd might think that. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking, oh yeah, that's what someone might, but I knew it was like ejaculation or whatever.
What you just said, I'm hoping that somebody on YouTube will say that in like 3 months.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That is, yes. That's the idea.
And you kind of have that extra microphone on your lap,
Well,
sort of like
Joaquin. Is this?
No,
they're
he's
both
he's
working.
not going to answer any questions. It's in his contract, I guess, with you to do this, or part of what he agreed to would not be to do any interviews. One thing we sort of were talking about though, because I've exhausted my brain on this, and some of the questions I asked actually in the last screening were really good questions, and they really provoked some amazing answers from Ari. and you were really articulate about it, and kind of the experience of hearing you answer those questions, I felt like really elevated the movie to a new level, and really made me understand a lot of the things I was confused about. So that was fascinating, and I think there were some people that were filming it with their phones in the other one, so maybe if you look up on social media, you can see some of the answers to those questions. Yeah, so let's keep it fresh in here, and I think maybe we'll take some questions from you guys, because you guys seem to have good heads on your shoulders. You here, please.
If Michael Powell and Eric Pressburger saw the ending, how do you think they would react? That would be probably what it remind me of the matter of
Well, you asked me a question, but I'm just taking it as a compliment. But I don't know. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay, so he asked if Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger saw that last scene, how do I think that they would have reacted?
Would it be endearing or how?
And to give some context also for the audience, this gentleman's wearing a shirt that says A24 on it.
No, I can't. I cannot answer that. But I love Matter of Life and Death, which you also just mentioned. I'm not mentioning it. You did, but I love it.
Did you feel like the ending maybe was sort of like a womb? Yeah, that's what, yeah. There you go. All right. Yes, you right there.
What was the deciding factor on having the meal be half Hawaiian and half Irish?
It's called Aloha. Is it a real thing? Nothing in this movie is real. You what? You ate edibles?
Yeah.
How was the movie on
Shit.
edibles?
I like it right when he went into, what was it all? The trees and stuff.
How do you feel about that? People seeing the thing you've devoted so much of your life to on drugs. You put years of your life into this thing, and then they just are like, yeah, I'm gonna eat some of these. Edible?
Well, I made the movie to be like a reaming, and on this screen it's like even more of a reaming, and then
Yes.
like on edibles, you're even more reamed. So that's good. That's good. That's great.
Would you be happy if that sort of became a thing that people were like, you got to see this movie on drugs?
Yeah. Well, I feel like that also brings down your critical faculties, which is also good for me.
Right.
Yes. Is anybody else high?
Wow. Maybe 10% here. Wow, that's cool. Yes, you right here. Okay.
Is there like any correlation within this film of like mommy issues like leading to mental illness, and then how's your relationship with your mom?
Great relationship with my mom.
The one thing, just so you know, the one thing he told me before is to not ask about his mom. So, it's okay if you don't want to answer.
I just said, great relationship.
Oh, okay.
I love it.
Then why couldn't I have asked?
I love my mom. And then you were asking about mommy issues leading to
Yeah, just like overbearing parents
the
to like excruciating.
so you're asking, yeah, the correlation between overbearing parents leading to excruciating anxiety. I mean, yes. Well, like just, overbearing anything can lead to mental illness. No? I don't know. Right. Yeah, that's enough. But yeah, right, yes, I think so. I mean, there it is. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's great. I mean, life's stressful, right? Anything can make you go loopy. Yes, you right here.
Hi. Okay, so I also love your short film, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. So I was wondering what you can tell us about that, because that is the craziest shit I've ever seen. And also, what can you tell us about Acting Class? Your next movie.
Well, okay, first of all, the second thing you referred to was mentioned in the trades, and like, and I don't know where the hell that came from. So I don't know which trade again. I can't remember which, but so yeah, nothing there. And then you're asking me what can I tell you about The Strange Thing with the Johnsons?
Yeah, what inspired you? And I mean, obviously you have themes of fucked up parental relationships. So how did that carry into this movie?
What inspired me? Well, so for people who don't know, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons is about a family in which the son is molesting the father, and has been since he was very young. And I made that at school. I made that at the American Film Institute, and I was inspired to make that when I had seen some of the past thesis films, and they felt to me like very, very, I don't know, like they felt like, they felt like very, like they were like awards movies, like they were going for like, like they were just like really kind of milquetoast. And then I thought, like, what's the worst thing I could make here? And then I thought about that story, and I thought, can I make that palatable and maybe even compelling? Yeah.
Great, yeah. How many people here went to film school? So like actually 30% of the audience, wow.
I only did a semester, it doesn't count.
It counts. You right there with the hand up.
I saw 45 years yesterday again after listening to one of your interviews, and speaking of great endings, all three of your feature films have endings that not only end the story but kind of reflect back on the entire journey that we took. I'm curious, at what point do you have your ending when you're writing? Is it early on? Is it later when you're discovering the story? At what point do you come up with those great endings?
I don't know. I mean, it feels very intuitive, you know. I feel like so much of writing is just about like kind of living with an idea and like waiting for things to come to you, like kind of understanding, like building a structure that you understand and kind of knowing what the demands of the story are, and then like hopefully you have enough time to like just walk around with it for a long time and let things kind of strike you. So it never feels to me like the product of like some formula, or like, it feels like if I'm lucky, then like, hopefully most of what in the film at least came to me in like a moment of inspiration, as opposed to like, trying to find something. And then a lot of the scenes and things I've made that I have a hard time with are things that I kind of maybe left as devices that like needed to be there, and I didn't maybe have the time to like actually, be struck by something else.
Yeah, seems good. I actually, just to pause for 1 second, I don't know if it's a real thing, but actually someone at the screening I went to mentioned that, I think it was someone that maybe had worked on the project, but in the really amazing scene where he's finally ejaculating for the first time in his life, that there was a shot of, from inside of, at one point in the cut, or was shot, of ejaculate shooting out.
You heard this?
Is this not true?
Where did you hear that?
Someone that worked on it said. Was it true?
No, not remotely. For me, it was like enough to have those balls, you know?
I'm gonna track down that person and kill them. Wow, it was just probably, you know, there are so many liars in the world. It's really a sad thing, right? That, I mean, I'm sure this guy probably didn't even work on the movie, and I talked to him for 20 minutes for no reason. Oh, I'm such a sucker. All right, yes, you over here.
I love how wonderfully unpredictable and Kafka-esque the whole movie was, especially the beginning. And I was just kind of, it's a simple question, but I was wondering what the most fun part of the script was to write. Like, which part of the script you had the most fun to write?
Hard to say. So the question was, what was the most fun part of the script to write? Like which sequence?
Scene or which
Which
sequence?
scene?
Like, were you ever typing and then you started smiling? And like kind of.
You didn't know where it was gonna go, and I felt like being in your head, not knowing where it was gonna go, was really fun.
You know, I have to say, like, the process of writing the film in general was just really fun.
What's your writing environment like? Is this your, like, do you have like you got a soda or something, or your cereal beside you, or you eat at another table and then there's no food in the writing room?
It's better now. When I wrote this, I was in a really very, very small apartment with one window, not in the living space. And so there were just stacks of things everywhere. It was a very, very small studio.
I'm picturing you writing kind of like, you know, like a montage of like you're typing and you can't figure out the scene and you're like frustrated, and then later you'll crack it and you'll be like, yeah, and then you'll kind of type like that. Is that kind of?
Yeah, there was a lot of like, you know, consternation, and there was struggle.
How many hours do you do per day?
Satisfaction. How many hours?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no no discipline here. It's just I don't know. I'll read a little bit, take a walk, have a coffee. What do you do?
Well, it's just helpful if it's, because some people here only went to film school for a month, so I think it's helpful to know more specifics about the techniques. No, it's okay if you, but yeah, you can kind of, everyone has their own process, is kind of, I think that's.
Yeah, you gotta find your own way of.
But don't give up, right?
Yeah, you can't give up. You gotta find your own way of like wrestling with the scene and then figuring it out and struggling and then finding it the way that you were affecting earlier.
Yeah, and if you put in the effort and try hard enough, you too could, you know, con a studio into allowing you to make a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, sorry.
Who have you asked anything yet? Okay, then definitely, yeah, please.
In your opinion, how do you think Mariah Carey is going to react to your song release in that specific scene?
Well, we sent her the scene.
No way.
He's asking how do I think Mariah Carey will react to the way we use her song in the film. And yeah, we had to send her the scene to get the approval. And then when we got the approval, I figured she was too busy to watch the scene. But I wrote her a letter, and I heard later on that she really appreciated the letter. And I'm very happy we got the song because I could not find an alternate song. There was nothing else that could have. Well, at first I said it was that or nothing, but I understood that I would probably have to find another option, and then I spent a long time looking and experimenting with other songs, and none of them worked at all.
And she came to the premiere, so you have to assume that she's pleased with it.
Yeah, I mean,
unless something went down.
No, she was there. She
Yeah.
was there. I didn't tell her to come.
Okay,
I was happy that
so-
she was there. I was so happy. Oh my god.
We have to, I think we have to wrap, these, by the way, I just will say, these have been great questions, and I feel inadequate that I was brought in to ask questions, and all of you have come up with great ones, so thank you. Let's do, yes, you hear, yeah, and then we'll.
I was just wondering, I had heard that the title changed, or at least there were several iterations. I think one was Mo's Choice, Disappointment Boulevard, and then when it was announced it was Beau's Afraid. Is there any reason as to why you settled on this title?
So the question is that he had heard that that this film had other titles, which it had. So it was announced as Disappointment Boulevard, which was never a real title. It was always Beau is Afraid, but there was an old script floating around that I didn't want people reading. So that was a trick. And I thought that was funny because I thought that the mother would have called it Disappointment Boulevard. And then when we were on set, the clapboard had another title, which was Mona's Choice, which also made me laugh, but was never going to be the title. Beau is Afraid is the only title.
It's the only one. Well, the theater has to, I think, shut down at some point, so we do have to. But thank you all for coming, and also, like, you know, if you love the movie, tell people about it, because it's so great that these movies get made, and this movie is like, it's gonna age in your mind really well, because it has with me, and I think it's awesome, and so spread the word and support it. And you got to see Ari Aster tonight, so give him a real solid applause.